Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Carrying on where we left yesterday. Before I start, mashallah, some of you went to measure. Whoever went to measure the shadow at noon and afternoon, put your hands up. What did you notice? Muhammad Yasin?
Sheikh, actually, I checked for the Zawal time online. Then
Right.
I went on that time and checked.
So what was the
So
one time where you
it,
were?
it is afternoon 11:45.
11:45. So you went out 11:45?
And I checked the shadow. Actually, I there was a shadow, like small shadow. The sun is
Small
not
shadow.
just straight up the head. It is like kind of 20 or more than 10-degree away from the midline. So it is like from side to side. It is crossing like this.
So that's what they call fay. Fay. So at Zawal, if there's still a shadow because the sun hasn't come on top, it's come from the side. So does that mean what that time you saw it had Dhuhr started or not yet?
No, Shay. Actually, like we learned in the subject, like the Zawal time will be like 10 or 15 minutes, but it was like the time started like 11:45, and the
Mm.
Adhan was given only at 12:30. Then I
When
checked the
was some,
internet again. It showed like
yeah.
the end time of Zawal is 12:25, like that. So it is like around
Any-
45 minutes of Zawal.
Okay, interesting. Maybe different to different places. Anyone else check? What did you see? Said?
Yes, the time of Zawal was in our place at 12:30 p.m. And when I measured the shadow, there was a shadow, but beyond the northern hemisphere, so naturally there will be a shadow.
There was a small
Uh,
shadow. So why they give you that mas'ala is to say that sometimes you go to a place, don't think Dhuhr Salah has started because it hasn't yet started. So the shadow, there may still be a shadow at noon, but wait for the noon to pass like that. Okay, anyone else measured?
yes, I thought what?
Ibrahim said it was cloudy. MashaAllah, good. In the first lesson, we had taken the timings of Salah. Then the second lesson, we took the adhan. And inshallah, today we're taking shurutus salah. Again, because we're only doing fiqh, we're taking roughly chapter at a time. And whoever's reading, you'll find there's other masail which are mentioned. I'm not going into the masail, especially that are not applicable or where there's a lot of difference of opinion for now. So today we're speaking about shurutus salah, the conditions for the salah to be correct. Okay. Shurutus salah. You've got different types of shurut, different types of condition. You've got those which are before the salah. And you've got those which are during the salah, meaning for the salah to be correct, there's certain conditions you have to fulfill. Okay? For now, we're starting off with this one. Okay? Conditions before the salah. In the books, they mention, Hanafi books we're taking, they say shurutus salah, which come before the actual starting of the salah, are six. Six. Okay. The first, which we've taken before, that's why there was a whole chapter before the chapter of Salah started, is to do with Tahara. Okay. So the first is Tahara min al hadath. Said, tell me what's hadath.
Ritual impurity.
Pardon?
Ritual impurity.
First word, what did you say?
Hadath asghar, hadath akbar.
Right, there's hadath akbar, hadath
The
asghar.
impurity.
What
Yeah.
is hadath?
State of impurity,
Impurity.
Sheikh.
What's the
State of
difference
impurity.
between,
Yeah.
wait, okay, if you're saying state of impurity, what's the difference between number two, which is tahara min al khabath? What's the difference between hadath and khabath? We took it several times. Wait, who was here? Alam Gheer.
Sheikh, حدث أكبر حدث أصغر. حدث
Okay,
أكبر is that
hold on. I agree with you. There's Hadath Akbar, Hadath Asghar. I'm saying before going into Hadath Akbar, Hadath Asghar, what's the difference between these two? Ibrahim? So you have to go over your notes. Ibrahim?
One
That the
w-
tahara means
one
the removal
Ibrahim,
of hadath.
Ibrahim.
hadath is it breaks tahara, and khabath is that it is just it doesn't break it, but you gotta clean it off of you. Like if like with manure, if it comes out of you, that's hadath, and if it's on top of you, it's
I want
khabath.
the definition of Hadath
Oh.
and Khabath, not an example. Muhammad Yasin, last one, otherwise I'll give you the answer.
Sure. Hadas is a state of impurity. Khabas is the physical impurity we have.
Right. State meaning metaphorical, meaning you can't touch it. If you guys remember, about 100 times I told you, Hadath is you can't see if somebody is muhdith. Okay, so if a person, can you see whether they have wudu or they don't have wudu? You can't see. Is this person in a state of wudu or not? Khabath, something tangible, something physical, something you can touch. Hadath, as Muhammad Yasin mentioned, is a state, meaning a state of the body. Okay, it's a metaphorical state. You've got of impurity. And hadath, you've got hadath akbar and hadath asghar. You've got minor and major. And as we mentioned, to quickly recap, hadath asghar, if a person urinates or passes stool or passes wind, etc. And here the person just needs to make wudu. Okay? And akbar is if a person is in janabah, somebody had a wet dream, or after intercourse, or after hayd, or after nifas, etc. Hadath akbar. Here, a person has to make ghusl. So that's hadath. So that's the first condition. So for a person's salah, before they start the salah, for their salah to be correct, they have to look at these conditions. Are they fulfilled? Is their body in a state of purity? Okay, either with wudu or ghusl, depending what's compulsory on them. Then khabath. Khabath is physical. Okay, something you can see, something tangible. And khabath generally sticks to, is to do with how many things? I taught you this also, Saeed. What do you look at when it looks to what's clean? Huh?
Come again, Sheikh?
I said khabath. What khabath is physical impurity. Physical impurity you look to be is free from what? From where?
From the place where you perform salah, from your clothing, and from your body.
أحسنت, well done. من البدن والبقعة and said body and the place and the
of worship,
the clothing.
The place where you perform the salah.
Oh, clothing. Yeah. So your physical body is clean, so there's no physical impurity on it. The clothes you want to perform your salah in are clean, and the place you're going to perform your salah on is clean. Okay, so that's condition number 2. So condition number 1, you yourself must be in a state of tahara min al-hadath. And think about it logically. A person reads salah, what do they occupy? What do they need? The body needs to be clean, the thawb needs to be clean, and the place they're performing their salah needs to be clean. Okay? So those are the first 2 conditions. The third condition, some of the books don't mention it, but we took it in the previous chapter. They say dukhul al-waqt. Notice how everything was connected. Notice how tahara, we took it before, hadath, khabath. Then dukhul al-waqt means the entering the time. Okay? That's number 3. So if a person had to read Salatul Fajr before the time has entered, then that Salah is not counted. Person reads Salatul Dhuhr before the time enters, Salah is not counted. Saeed, what do we say if a person reads, for example, let's say Salatul Asr is at 4 o'clock and a person reads the Asr Salah at 3:45, what do we tell him? Are you sinful, or your salah is counted for today? What do you tell him?
That means he has read his salah too early. If it's at 4 and he reads at 3:45,
Right.
it means his salah is not counted. So he
What
has
do you
to make
tell him?
qada of that salah in any case. He has to repeat it.
No, there's no
because
qada.
it is
He has
not
to repeat.
like the
Qada,
salah is
qada
now.
means, hold on. Qada means when you missed it. Here the time hasn't even entered. What we can tell him, for example, let's say 3:50, he read 4 rakat. We tell him those 4 are counted as nafil, because his ibadah won't be wasted. He's doing a good deed. However, if it comes to yourself being saved from sin, or you performed your duty of salah on time that's not yet been counted, wait for salah to enter and read another 4 again. And we took the entering of the times. Okay. Now, when we took the entering of the times, you saw the difference of opinion, and then you see the back and forth. Okay. So, for example, 1 shadow and 2 shadows, especially at dhuhr. So somebody says that Asr starts after 1 shadow. According to the other opinion, no, Asr hasn't yet started. But everybody agrees that after 2 shadows, Asr has started. And everybody agrees that if you've read your dhuhr within 1 shadow, you've read it on time. Same with Maghrib. If you've read your dhuhr within the red twilight, then according to everyone, your salah is counted. The white twilight, only according to one opinion. Same with when it comes to Isha, etc. So when it comes to these differences of opinion, always they say try to stick to the opinion where everybody agrees. Even if we're not talking about compulsory or not, but they say it's better khurujan min al-khilaf. So you come out of the difference of opinion. Similarly, when it comes to gargling and cleaning the nose, majority say sunnah, some say compulsory, but even those who tell you it's sunnah, they'll tell you that just clean your gargle and clean your nose when making wudu, khurujan min al-khilaf. So you on the safe side. Understood? That's a rule we can take and practice upon. Number 4, you've got satrul awrah, which means the covering of the awrah, covering of what's supposed to be covered. Now, before getting into satrul awrah, there's 2 types of awrah. Okay. In fact, let me give you the men first, then we go to the women, because that's where it's applicable. For the men, the awrah, what's the bare minimum, what's compulsory to be covered, is from the navel up to the knee. Okay. And in the Hanafi books, when you're reading, a lot of them, they'll tell you, and the most correct opinion is the knee is included, i.e., you must cover from the navel all the way up to and including the knee. That's the bare minimum. So it doesn't mean that if a person, today they decide that, oh, we learned in fiqh that the awrah is only from the navel to the knee, so let me read salah without a shirt on today. No, we're not talking about that. Here, they're talking about masail where the salah is valid and a person's done the bare minimum. Can a person do more and extra, and is it recommended? Definitely. Definitely. And why do these masail come up? At times you find, for example, let's say a person didn't know about covering the knee, or a person was wearing shorts, for example. Depending on the type of shorts, is the salah valid or not valid? Did they know or they didn't know? Sometimes a person goes into ruku or sujood, something of their awrah starts showing what's counted, what's not counted, etc. Also, at times, you've got to remember, in the olden days, they didn't have the abundance that we have. So today you think of this and you say, why are they even talking about it? Because your wardrobe got 10 pairs of clothes. In the olden days, people had 1 and 2 pairs of clothes. People's clothes were stolen when they used to travel. That's why they then speak about the salah of a person who's naked. And you might think, why would somebody want to read salah naked? No, not somebody wants to read salah naked. At times you only got 1 garment, and that garment is full of najasa. Do you read salah in the garment with najasa, or do you read salah naked? Or sometimes a person's clothes are stolen. How does he read salah? Should he read salah? Should he wait to get new clothes? What should he do? So that's some of the reasoning why these masail are mentioned. So that's first when it comes to a man. Second, when it comes to a woman. Okay?
Okay.
Al-mar'a. Hold on. Something you want to add here or ask a question? If you've got to ask a question, write it down.
Want to ask a question about this Salah. It says in the books that the nakedness it does not include the navel itself. Could you explain?
So
It
there's
says this in Quduri. It says the knee is included, but the navel itself is not.
Hold on. The Hanafi books amongst themselves, they differ. Another thing, if you read one opinion there, don't come, you can ask me later or let me finish, otherwise you confuse everybody else. The navel, include the navel and include the knee. You can debate is the navel and the knee and not the knee, and that's all. For now, I'm telling you the safest opinion. Okay? Then you got al-mar'ah. Now, before we go to a woman, say a woman, there's two types of awrah. Awratun nadar and awratul salah. Here we're talking about salah. Okay? So when they're speaking about what a woman can perform salah with, they say that her whole body is awrah except, first opinion, her face and her hands, meaning her, the palm up to here, the hands. So if a woman had to read salah with a scarf, for example, is open and the palms are open, according to this opinion, only that much is allowed. Okay. Second opinion is, both in the Hanafi madhab, they say her whole body is awrah in salah except her face and her hands and her feet. And then they differ in the feet. Is it only a quarter of the foot, the whole foot, etc.? And there's a back and forth between them. Okay? Safer opinion, hands and face. Allowance made by some to say even the feet. And this, notice how we're speaking about salah. Then they speak about, it's not mentioned in Kitab al-Salah, but in other books, Kitab al-Libas, etc. They speak about awratun nazar. What is a woman supposed to cover so that others don't look at her? And here, you've got certain things which are ijma and consensus, and then you've got difference of opinion in certain things. Same concept here. First people will tell you the whole body of the woman is awrah. The whole body. Okay? The whole body is awrah, and they'll tell you, for example, she can open her eye, one eye. It's the niqab if they're wearing, so they can see. Okay? Second opinion is the whole body is awrah except the palms. Okay? Next opinion, got no space to write there. The whole body is awrah except face and the palms. That's similar to this opinion. Can you see? This one here and this one here. So here, awrat al-salah, awrat al-nadar. Everybody agrees that the hair needs to be covered. The hair, there's no difference of opinion when it comes to hair, when it comes to, for example, the neck, etc. Those body parts also. men and women are encouraged to dress modestly. Sometimes people are covered, both men and women, but the clothing is very tight, etc. It's a long debate in this. Those who say that the whole body is awrah. They say that the people who allowed the face as well as the hands, they are confusing awratul salah and awratul nazar. And those who say no, the face and the hands are allowed, they have different hadith which they use. But obviously, the more a person is covered, the better. Right, so that's when it comes to satrul awra. And number 5 is an-niyah. Niyah is intention. Okay? A person intends to be performing salah. Niyah is performed in the heart, even according to the Hanafi madhab. So they tell you that a person should have the intention in the heart. And when it comes to, now I don't want to go deeper in because it opens the door for waswas. However, the easiest thing to know if your niyyah is correct is, let's say you start Salatul Asr. If somebody had to tap you on your shoulder and say, what are you doing? You say, I'm reading Salatul Asr. Your niyyah is Salatul Asr. You understand? It's found in the heart. They themselves tell you in their books, there's no need to say niyyah with the tongue. In some of the books, then, they tell you, mustahab to utter it verbally. Some of them, they tell you in some of the Hanafi books and in some of the other madahib, there's opinions. What we will say is everybody agrees that the niyyah is in the heart. They say mustahab if a person can't remember or they're too sad or whatever it may be. Here some say it's bid'ah and some say if a person needs to, then it's okay or recommended. What I would say is that in niyyah, don't open the door for waswas. Even those people who speak about niyyah in the heart, it's simple. Don't think that, okay, now I'm intending to do this and follow the imam. And even though some of the books say it, I will tell you that it opens the door for waswas. Easiest, if somebody had to ask you, for example, what you're doing, say, I'm reading Dhuhr Salah. Your niyyah is already there in your heart. So that's why some ulama mention that it's impossible for somebody to carry out, meaning somebody who's alert and awake, to carry out any act of worship without an intention. Impossible. Ask somebody, where are you going? I'm going to work. Obviously, he's going to do some work. So what you're doing? I'm eating. Or I want to eat. Isn't everything a person does whilst they're functioning, there's a reason behind it. That's why some ulama argue when it comes to this. But what I will tell you, niyyah, everybody agrees in the heart. And some go a step further and mention this, and some mention that it's bid'ah. Okay? And then you got number 6 is to face the qibla. Face the qibla. And then they mention to you, if a person is in front of the Kaaba, okay, your qibla is facing the exact Kaaba. If a person is in Mecca, can't see the Kaaba, this is Masjid al-Haram, the whole masjid, their qibla is to face Masjid al-Haram. And if a person is out of Mecca, then their qibla is to face towards Mecca. Why they mention this is to make it easy. Also, small error when it comes to qibla, it's forgivable. Some ulama mention, and as we'll take later on, in the hadith of the Messenger Sallam, it says, "Ma bayna al-mashriqi wal-maghribi qibla." Whatever's between the east and the west is qibla, i.e., there's an allowance if a person made a slight mistake this way or that way, a few degrees here, a few degrees there, especially if they're further away. Okay, also, there's a difference between north and magnetic north. So you must Google this, you must search this. When it comes to the compasses, where do they face? They face north, do they face magnetic north, etc. Obviously, these days we've got satellites, so people are able to use it. Magnetic north is slightly off north by a little bit. Okay. Then they mention that if a person had to perform Salah. Okay, let's say they don't know where's the Qibla, and they had to make their own ijtihad. Ijtihad means you try from your own, whatever you've been given, and say, okay, I think this way and that way, etc. If they're in Salah, okay, that's the in Salah, and they're making a mistake, somebody can come and turn them or advise them, etc., and the Salah is still valid and counted. If they finished the Salah and then someone comes to you after, and whilst you were looking for the Qibla, you tried your best. Maybe you phoned somebody, maybe you took out a map, maybe you looked at the sun, maybe. And you told them, for example, I face this way, and they tell you, no, Qibla is actually this way, but you've already finished your Salah. Here they tell you, your Salah is counted, and there's no need to repeat. So notice how in Salah and after Salah. There's one mas'ala I never really touched, but it's here when it comes to covering the awrah. Okay? They say that if a person has no clothes, now this is in our times very rare, but it may happen. A person has no clothes, then is it better for them to read Salah, to start off reading standing, and then make ruku and sujood? Or is it better for them to sit, and they say they sit with the legs facing Qibla, and when it comes to ruku and sujood, they use their head to go up and down? A lot of them lean towards this opinion because they say the person is not moving, so the awrah is covered. So the awrah is covered. So these are shurut al-salah, conditions of salah in a nutshell. What you must realize is this, what we took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, these are the 6 main headings when it comes to the mas'ala. And under every mas'ala, there's smaller masail. So for example, a person reading salah without clothes, if they had to read salah without clothes, how do they read salah without clothes? If the garment is dirty, how much is permissible for them to read with and not permissible, etc. Any questions with what we took?
Sheikh, I have a question regarding the is it okay to say in heart, for example, not by lips, just in heart, to say I'm performing 4 rakat, part of Dhuhr?
Yeah,
Like just
no.
like in the heart, not moving the lips or
no harm in the heart. So when you go there, you intend it. For example, okay, this is my Salatul Asr 4 rakat, and you start. That, in fact, in the books, a lot of them, that's what they mention you should do in the heart. Okay, but what I mentioned a different opinion that's not really in these books. But why do I mention that opinion is because a lot of people have waswas. So they tell you that, I was starting my salah, and then I never intend, even if it's in the heart, they say, I never intended to be 4 raka'at, and I never intended to be behind the imam, and I never intended to be this, and did the imam intend for me, and. So to close that door, obviously, if you've gone to the masjid, for Asr Salah, your intention is Asr Salah. So I've just made it easier for you. But in the heart, if you want to do that, then there's no harm. In fact, some of them mention that when it comes to the Fard Salah, your intention should be that which Salah you're reading and how many raka'at you're reading. And when it comes to Nafil Salah, then you just intend Nafil.
yes.
Ali?
Assalamu alaikum, Shaykh. Shaykh, you mentioned facing the Qibla. You mentioned 3 things under that. I didn't catch all of them. Can you please repeat that for me?
We said a person, first we started off is if a person's in Makkah, okay, that's the first thing we started off. What do they face? So if a person says, okay, face the Qibla, somebody asks you, what's the Qibla? Where should I face? So the first thing we spoke about is, okay, what do you face? If you're in Makkah and you can see the Kaaba, you face the Kaaba. If you're in Makkah, but you can't see the Kaaba, you're facing Masjidul Haram, which is the building around the Kaaba. And if you're not in Makkah, you face the direction of Makkah. Understood? What's the difference? The closer you get, it's required of you to be more accurate. The closer you get, required of you to be more accurate. That's the first. The second is we said, if a person doesn't know where's the Qibla, what do? They try their best. They make ijtihad. Now, there'll be two things. When you made your ijtihad, okay, either you're going to have faced the Qibla, no problem, or you may not be facing the Qibla. If you're not facing the Qibla, it's one of two things. Somebody corrects your mistake whilst you're in Salah, or somebody corrects your mistake after Salah. For example, let's say friends are talking, they say, I face this way, and say, no, guy, you're supposed to face the other way. In Salah, if somebody corrects you, a few ways they can correct you. Either they tell you, hey, move a little bit left if you foul, move this way, or they come and hold you literally like it's a blind man, for example. Last week it happened in Jumu'ah. I started speaking, and there was a brother who was blind, but he wasn't facing the Qibla. He was on a slant like this. He was like facing me. So I told whoever was there, I said, face him straight. And then I carried on with the lecture. So that happened where? In Salah. His Salah is correct. He builds on it. So let's say he read 2 rak'ahs already. We don't tell him, repeat the 2 that you never face Qibla. No, Salah is correct. And if a person read, is corrected after Salah. So let's say, for example, that brother, nobody corrected him in the masjid. He tried his best. He's blind anyway. Or a person is lost, they got no compass, they're in a new place. It happens a lot, especially when you travel in the aeroplane and you land in a place that you're not familiar with and you need to sit in the aeroplane. It happens a lot. Where do you face? So one of the easiest ways, sometimes you go to a place where there's no internet and the satellite on the plane screen doesn't work unless you're airborne in a lot of the aeroplanes. So what do you do? Beforehand, what you can do, check on Google Maps to say, okay, if we're going to park by the terminal, then the terminal faces this way. Or you can ask the pilot or the people on the ground. Or sometimes they also don't know. Your time of Salah is running. It's happened a lot of times. Either you gauge by the sun or you gauge by, previously I came here. And then let's say you read your Salah after trying your best and you still read the wrong way. So let's say you got home and you said, you know what? I was parked in what's your airport, Johannesburg, OR Tambo International Airport. I was parked there. And we were in transit, we were waiting, and there was just about 30 minutes left for Salatul Asr. So I tried my best. I asked everybody, and they told me, you see the terminal building, face towards the terminal building. Okay, that's generally the direction of Qibla. So I read my Salah. Then you got home late in the night and somebody told you that no, you're actually supposed to face to the right of that building. Is your Salah counted or not? Your Salah is counted because you tried your best in that situation. So that's it. In Salah and after Salah.
The last question, Jeff, is with regards to the awrah of the woman. I think you said awrah to another.
Yeah.
Does that include also, does it also include the woman's face, hands, and feet? Or is it just face and hands?
Face and hands. I don't know of anybody who's allowed the feet. There may be opinions, but Allah, I'm giving you what's majority. That's why even in these books, the Hanafi book, they tell you that even those who speaking about the feet being open, they're speaking about Salah. There are some who make an allowance. If they're wearing flip-flops, for example, on top of the Abba. They are. But I haven't gone in depth to who allowed what and where. But it is an opinion that is there. And this is obviously where a person is outside or the non-maharim, etc., not when they're in the house or alone. Ibrahim?
I have a question.